We are starting the daily financial news at 7 a.m. We always do this because we have an interview guest, a millionaire guest at 7:30, Jonathan Twomley. Unfortunately, Jonathan will not be able to make today, so what I decided to do is I will go live on YouTube at 7:30. We'll go live for about an hour. We'll see what everybody wants to talk about. Talk about the Fed, interest rate, housing, buyers markets, negotiations. Whatever you want to talk about, I will be going live for Q&A at 7:30 a.m. Pacific. But let's get into the news of the day. The news of the day is all about inflation. We got our second inflation reading of the month. First was CPI. Today, PPI. We will get PCE, but that won't be till much later in the month of September. PPI, basically in line with expectations. Headline came in at 1.7 year on year, 0.2 month on month. Core came in at 3.3, and a little hotter month on month at 0.3. Like CPI, what we saw was core month on month numbers in both cases were slightly hotter than expected. This certainly bears watching, but I do not think is urgent or will cause the Fed to change their opinion. They have told us quite clearly that they are cutting rates next week. It will be Wednesday. The market now is pricing in a quarter point cut. The hopes of a 50 basis point cut have quickly dissipated. On top of that, today with PPI, we also got weekly unemployment claims. And again, we are staying right around at the moderate level of 230,000. In fact, the number was exactly 230,000. Last week, just so you know, was 228. Expectations were 225. So slightly hotter than last week, slightly hotter than expected. But frankly, as long as we continue to stay in the 230 range, we just keep kind of flatlining, baselining. What we are looking for in these weekly numbers, of course, is for something to break higher, 240, 250, et cetera, et cetera. And thus far, we are not there. I do want to shout out 4 people. We had 4 people join school yesterday. I want to shout out Alejandro, Liz, Randy, and Eric. Thank you for joining school. Thank you for continuing to grow our community. What I would tell you to do when you join school, send out an introductory message. Tell them who you are, your buy box, where you're at. Again, school is a community. If you're going to spend $20 a month, you might as well get the maximum value from that. So again, introduce yourself, follow some people, go to the classroom section. You can find the 10-week boot camp. You can find creative financing. You can find stuff on the buy box. You can also go to our special guest thumbnail and see millionaire interviews after millionaire interviews that are only on school. Again, it is my goal to grow the school community to no less than 1,000 people. It is my belief if we can get to 1,000 people, we will have a community that frankly will grow and continue to foster long after I am gone. We are trying to grow the middle class. We are trying to show you that inflation is a feature, not a bug. And if you can get in the right communities, get around the right people, you can go far. All right, so where was inflation inside CPI? Again, we got CPI yesterday. Looked like food inflation was up 2.1. Food away from home, so eating out, 4.0. Energy was negative 4%. Rents came in at 5%. I did note that motor vehicle insurance was up 16.5%, as was gardening and lawn services up 13.5%. So we are definitely seeing some outliers in different areas. I am wondering if gardening and lawn service is a sign of things to come. I don't know if you have seen this in any of your bids to turn units, but I've seen significant increase in painting, in flooring, lots of service industry. So again, inflation may not be over. We did get a low for 16 months on interest rates. Shout out Lance Lambert and Resi Club. Came in at 6.11. 6.11. Also saw that on Mortgage Business Daily. This is a 16-month low. Also want to shout out one of my millionaires. One of my millionaires called me the afternoon and said, "Hey, Michael, should I refinance my loan?" So without giving any particulars away, let's just say their rate was 7.5. They were being quoted 5.99. They were going to save thousands of dollars a month, and the refi was only going to cost them, let's call it 10 grand. So let me just tell you this. If you save $2,000 a month and it costs you 10 grand, the only answer is refi. Why? Because that is a 5-month payback. You divide 10,000 the cost by 2,000 the savings, you get a number of 5. Bingo bango. That's a thumbs up in my opinion. Where I draw the line, where you have to ask yourself questions, is 18 months. If it comes in at 20 or 21 or 22, you have to ask yourself, how long are you going to stay? What are the likelihoods of further rate reductions? But if you come into a refi with a 5-month payback period, go. That is my opinion. And that is what, of course, I told my friend. UBS CEO Sergio, I'm going to say Ermonti. Market is getting ahead of itself. The market is trying to price in an aggressive Fed. Well, it looks like this UBS report, which went out last week, is dead on the money. Last week, I think the odds of a 50 basis point cut were around 60% at the peak. They are now single digits. I, too, think that the Fed wants to go a quarter next week. I think the exciting part is not the rate cut. It's the SOP. It's the dot plot. It's basically, where does the Fed going to take rates? And what I'm going to be looking for are two things. One, how many rate cuts in 2024? As I sit here this morning, I'm thinking 100 basis points. So as of this morning, we have 3 Fed rate meetings. So that means at least one of them, we will have a 50 basis point cut. I do not think they will do that on the first one. I think it might send the wrong signal. But I do think in 2024, we will see 100 basis points. That is the first thing I'm looking for. The second thing I'm looking for is how far are we going to go? Are we going to go down 200 basis points by the summer? By next December? How far are they envisioning taking this? Again, they are clearly seeing inflation down. Folks, I don't know if you've checked out Trueflation, which is a real-time updating of inflation. Trueflation this morning came in at 1.06. 1.06. For lots of people, I think Peter Schiff is saying it right now, like in this last week. I've heard Peter Schiff say that he does not think we can get inflation under 2%. I would argue it is already there. Again, according to Trueflation, which historically has been about 98% accurate because it is using over 5,000 daily metrics and they update it Monday through Friday, inflation is way under 2%. Again, Trueflation 1.06. I believe most of the distortion, of course, is owner's equivalent rent. It is a horribly outdated, misguided form of calculating rent. That should be done differently with today's technology and the like. I want to shout out Cody Sanchez. Cody Sanchez highlighted something yesterday that kind of smacked me across the face. Folks, 2025 is less than 4 months away. 2025 is less than 4 months away. What have you done this year? What are you thinking about doing next year? I know there's a lot of people that follow my channel that are obviously interested in real estate investing. They're interested in wealth creation, but you're stuck. You're stuck. You're watching. You're not interacting. You're not networking. You're not growing your own community. That is what I hope school becomes. I hope school becomes a community for you that you can find people and network, communicate weekly with, and grow together. I did see a quick comment about somebody buying a home this year. Congratulations. Wealth building journey. Congrats on buying a property this year. Congratulations. But again, folks, a lot of you have an interest. A lot of you tune into the daily financial news, which I appreciate. I really do. 3, 4, 5,000 views a day. Thank you. But please realize that the school community, one rental at a time, is the place to get around other folks that are really doing it. We have 2 accountability calls. In fact, yesterday, Frank's accountability call talked about pets, breeds, talked about wish pricing, talked about a buyer's market, talked about a business move versus peace of mind. These are the kinds of conversations you want to be in, you want to be around. Again, like Alejandro, Liz, Randy, Eric, who all joined yesterday, it's time to join. Get the boot camp, get the buy box, introduce yourself. Let's go. What else do we got? Yeah, 2025 is 4 months away. Wow, it's crazy. Some mortgage data. This really really paints a vision of just how different the housing market is today versus, say, 06, 07, 08. According to Logan Montashami from Housing Wire, who is an excellent analyst, 40% of homes have no mortgages. Of the remaining homes, the LTV, the collective LTV of those loans is less than 50%. That is wild. What does that mean? That means we have at least $11 trillion in tappable equity. This is something I first talked about well over a year ago, in that owning assets in an environment where inflation's a feature, not a bug. And we've seen, 30, 40% appreciation, if not more, in the last 5 years. A lot of folks are sitting on equity. As rates fall, I can guarantee you one thing. The consumer will be a consumer. As rates fall, the consumer will go, hey, I got all this tappable equity here. I need to go get me some of that for education, for paying off credit cards, for a backyard pool, for a trip of a lifetime. Shoot, for savings. Who knows? But again, we are going to see some of that tappable equity be tapped. And could that tappable equity via asset owners be enough to keep us in a rolling recession and maybe keep us out of a recession? Could it possibly give us the soft landing in 2025? I don't know, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out. Again, I do think we're in a seasonally slow period that is accentuated by a presidential election where there is a lot of fear, doubt, hate, nonsense. But once we get to January, certainly by February, we are going to be in the spring selling season. Rates will apparently be lower. It's going to be an interesting 2025. What else do we want to talk about? I think ECB. Last thing we'll talk about, ECB, a European Central Bank, cut rates this morning. That is the ECB's second rate cut. Current forecasts have a third rate cut in December. I think one of the things the Fed realized is they do need to keep up with other central banks because we are creating a much stronger dollar. So again, one of the things that the Fed is likely thinking about is comparisons to other currencies and other rates. Folks, biggest news of the day is I want to announce Buying Vegas. Buying Vegas episode 5. It's been probably 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks since episode 4 dropped. We have now completed episode 5 and episode 6. Episode 5 will drop this Friday at 5 p.m. So tomorrow at 5 p.m. Episode 6 will drop next Friday at 5 p.m. This has been a lot of work and a lot of expense. It's been fun. It's also been draining. But yes, Buying Vegas will launch tomorrow, episode 5, and episode 6 the following Friday. So folks, I'm going to turn off this daily financial news because I want to talk to you live for an hour. Random Q&A, 7:30. Usually I speak with the one and only Jonathan Twomley, but he had to cancel last minute. So I said, hey, why not talk to the audience, see what's on their mind? Guys, take care. Hope to see you soon. Later.